All right, can everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Perfect. All righty. So we are approaching the finish line. We made it this far and we just have another week to go. So great job, everybody. Yay. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions that they want to ask? And if you think of any, just feel free to put them in the chat. And we can also discuss at the end too.
Sophia, I have one.
Yes.
If there's other foods that we want to check for intolerance, how do we figure out the proportions we try in the 2-day reentry?
That's a good question. So I would just write a message in the Facebook and I can help you with that. The serving, it's going to be like a typical serving size for that food, which is not very descript. I have like references to what that is just based off of the elimination diets that I've done. I did include the schedule for the avocados in the Facebook group for you. But if there are other foods, just let me know and I can send you some resources for those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, we're gonna get started. So the foods that are coming up next, dairy, corn, gluten, and shellfish for anyone doing the comprehensive diet. So these specific foods include milk or cheese without any additives, BPA-free canned, organic, fresh, or organic frozen corn. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're buying organic. And if you're getting canned, just make sure it's BPA-free. That will be listed on the can. Gluten, you can use couscous, rye, farro or spelt, and then shellfish, I would use shrimp. Or if you want to use any other shellfish, that's fine too. You can use the same serving size as the shrimp on that reintroduction guide if you want. So gather and prep the ingredients. So you are encouraged to gather the ingredients before the day that you start reintroducing so that you have those ingredients on hand. And you can use the following serving sizes to ensure that you have enough for the retrial. So if you were to use any gluten grain, 1 3/4 cup is the total that you'll need. So if you wanted to prepare that ahead of time and just boil that, you can keep that in the fridge so that you don't have to keep making it every day. Shrimp, you'll need 11 ounces. So getting like a big bag of frozen shrimp should give you enough, but just make sure. If you need to get two, just make sure that you're getting enough so that you are prepared. Corn, you need 1 3/4 cup. Milk, you need 3.5 cups if you're just using milk. If you want to use cheese and you were just to use cheese, you would need 3.5 ounces. If you want to use a mix, you can determine ahead of time how much you would need of both. So I'm going to just give a little bit of advice about dairy. This is for the reintroduction and in the future if you do end up tolerating dairy. So when reintroducing dairy or even in the future, always go for grass-fed organic whenever possible. They're more nutrient dense and they come with fewer chemicals and additives than conventional dairy. So with organic, the biggest concern is the pesticides, which can hurt the gut. So we want to try to get organic whenever we can, especially for dairy products. So some of my favorite dairy products are here on the right. But if you are unsure about the ones you buy or spot a new brand at the store, check out the farm's website. That is the best way to get information about their practices. You'll want to look for 100% grass-fed and organic. Those two things don't mean the same thing. So if a label just says grass-fed without the 100%, so it's just grass-fed milk, not 100% grass-fed milk, it likely means that the cows spent part of the year outside, but might be indoors and grain-fed during bad weather. So that means that some of their feed might be grain, but they're mostly grass-fed. Ideally, 100% grass-fed is the best for the cow's well-being and for the nutritional quality of the dairy. So the more they're being fed their typical diet, the better their quality of life, the better the product. So, and it's better for the cows. So now let's discuss raw dairy because that is a question I get a lot. Is raw milk really better? Can I tolerate it if I do end up being lactose intolerant? Some people do swear by raw milk's health benefits. In my opinion, according to the research, the risks likely don't outweigh the potential benefits. So a lot of claims do get thrown out that like raw milk is more nutritious, but research doesn't really fully back that up. So, for example, studies show no real difference in the fat profiles between the raw and pasteurized milk. So they're pretty equal when it comes to fat. The pasteurization, which is which is the process that kills the bacteria from conventional dairy, it actually ends up increasing the digestibility of fat. So it might be more tolerable for some individuals when they purchase the conventional grass-fed organic rather than the raw. And there are some minor losses in certain vitamins with the pasteurization process, but they aren't nutritionally significant. So we're not really seeing that raw is more nutritious than any other dairy product. When it comes to lactose tolerance, does raw milk make it more suitable? Um, Raw milk does have the enzyme lactase, which is found in lactate, which breaks down lactose. So some people do believe it helps with the lactose digestion, but studies do show that for people with lactose intolerance, raw milk doesn't significantly reduce the digestive symptoms compared to pasteurized milk. So we're not really seeing that it's helpful for reducing the symptoms of lactose intolerance, which is the digestive symptoms that happen after having dairy. So does raw milk boost immunity or lower allergy risk? That's another claim. Some studies have found a connection between that, between raw milk and lower rates of asthma, rhinitis, respiratory infections in children specifically. One European study did link raw milk to a 30% lower risk of respiratory infection and fever in infants. However, this is only an association. We can't really say this is a causal relationship. And safety is the biggest concern. And in my opinion, I don't think that really outweighs these potential benefits. Raw milk does carry harmful bacteria in certain cases. It's more likely to, so this may cause serious illness, especially in infants, pregnant women, the elderly, and anyone with a weakened immune system. So if you are considering raw dairy, just keep in mind that there are risks involved. Understand your tolerance when it comes to dairy in general. If you do go for raw, source it carefully from a farm you've thoroughly vetted. And at the end of the day, it's all about weighing the risks and benefits and making the best choice for your health. So dairy reaction for the reintroduction. If you do react to cow's milk, both the timing and type of symptoms can give us insights into what type of reaction is going on. So if you experience digestive symptoms within 30 minutes to 3 hours of consuming the product, lactose intolerance is likely what is going on here. So this means your body isn't producing enough lactase, which is that enzyme I mentioned, which breaks down that sugar that can cause those digestive symptoms. So that's why when you take lactase or any digestive enzyme with it before consuming dairy or while consuming dairy, it would help. So one test is taking an enzyme and seeing if that helps with your symptoms. If you do end up reacting to dairy, and it is a digestive reaction, so it's this lactose intolerance can take up to 48 hours for some people to fully resolve. So if you do have that reaction, you'll just want to wait until it's fully gone for you to move on to the next food. If your symptoms show up 3 hours or more after eating dairy, and it goes beyond digestion, especially, so you can get digestive symptoms, but if it goes beyond digestion and it's 3 hours or more, like fatigue, skin reactions, etc., it might be the sensitivity instead. And this is to the dairy proteins called casein or whey. These are two proteins that are found as supplement powders, so that might be where you've heard of these, but they're protein that are found together in every dairy product. So, if that is the case and that's your reaction, you can experiment if you'd like after you finish the whole reintroduction to see if you can tolerate casein over whey or vice versa. But some people can't tolerate either if they're having a sensitivity, but it's worth seeing if you can maybe tolerate one. especially if you're someone that, let's say, goes and gets smoothies and you have a whey protein smoothie that you like or a whey protein powder, and you do end up tolerating whey over casein, that might be good. There's also different types of casein, which can maybe make it more to have certain products. So sheep, goat, and A2 milk contain a type of digestible casein that some people might digest better, even with a casein sensitivity. So first, you can try one of these products and see if it causes any issues. You'd introduce it just like with the conventional dairy after completing the full elimination and reintroducing all those after the full reintroduction of all the other foods. And you can do the same with whey protein powder. So with whey, you can trial it in the same way with one full serving being one full serving size that's listed on the package. That's usually 1 to 2 scoops of powder. And then you would just use a fourth scoop and then the half scoop for those different reintroductions. Um, if you have any questions about that and that's something that you're interested in, you can always wait to see how you react and ask me a question in the Facebook. But figuring out exactly what reaction you're having can tell you how you can tolerate foods, because the goal is to maintain food diversity and minimize unwanted reactions. So if you do end up tolerating the goats or sheep or A2 milk, that's wonderful, because then you can prioritize those and not have to give up dairy. So lactose intolerance, I want to dive a little deeper into this because it's super, super common. So lactose intolerance occurs again when your body isn't producing enough enzyme to break it down. This is the sugar found in dairy. This is typically a lifelong condition from genetic causes, which affects about 68% of the population and often develops in adulthood, but it can also be lifelong. It can start in childhood as well. So, however, it can also be secondary to a gut issue, so an imbalance, meaning it could improve if underlying digestive issues are addressed. So, if you have lactose intolerance or you find you have it, you'll likely need to reduce dairy intake permanently, or at least you can retrial it once you heal your gut. And you can use enzymes as needed to manage and get rid of that reaction. Um, we don't have a lot of long-term studies on taking digestive enzymes for lactose intolerance every day. There's just not enough really good long-term studies, but it is likely very safe. There's other conditions where you do take enzymes long-term, and that does not pose an issue. And so I don't feel like it's an issue, but it's better to reduce your intake, and just use it as needed. There's also lactose-free products as well. So number one, low lactose diet. Number two, try the enzymes. And then you might be able to tolerate small amounts of foods. So you can see here that the low lactose foods might be tolerable in small amounts, especially yogurt and kefir, which have bacteria in it that can help with digesting the lactose. So prioritize fermented dairy and have minimal dairy products overall, prioritizing these low lactose foods. Purchase lactose-free products if you want to help with breaking down that lactose, and then watch out for hidden sources. It could be found in dressings, lunch meats, margarine, potatoes, like instant potatoes. Some cereals have it, like some cereals have like whey protein in it, pancake mixes, biscuits, cookie mixes. So just be careful, and just try to minimize overall. This is just a visual for what you can do if you have a sensitivity. You want to make sure that you're trialing high quality dairy, because the quality does matter. So you want to make sure you're doing this while reintroducing. If you have a reaction, you can really prioritize plant-based milks, considering that it doesn't have gums, it's organic, if it's soy, and then it doesn't have added sugars in it, if you can tolerate soy. Alternative two, you can try the A2 cow's milk, or you can try goat or sheep products. So this can be kind of a flow chart for making those decisions. So now gluten. So gluten is another one that has an intolerance. That's the digestive reaction that happens a little bit more quickly. So if you experience those symptoms within 30 minutes to 2 hours after having a gluten product, your body's probably just struggling to digest it. So gluten sensitivity, on the other hand, is appearing a little bit later, so 3 hours later, just like dairy, and they might go beyond digestion, but they can also encapsulate digestive symptoms. So fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, skin issues, inflammation, etc. So some strategies for gluten intolerance, which is not a true sensitivity. If your reaction is digestive, you could tolerate gluten better by trying these approaches. So you can see if you can actually tolerate it from a digestive standpoint, if it's happening quickly. So it's that intolerance. So soaking and cooking grains before eating them to improve digestion. Choosing ancient grains like einkorn or durum, these are types of wheat which have a lower gluten content, so it might actually be digested better if you're having issues digesting it. Um, there's like einkorn sourdoughs, einkorn pastas, durum pastas. You'll see ancient grain or these two specific wheat names on the product. Um, so then another way is buying sourdough breads over other types of breads can help with that digestion. Sourdough is fermented, so it actually increases the digestibility of that gluten product. So that's only if you know it's only an intolerance and not a sensitivity, because a sensitivity is inflammatory. So if you do have GI, like chronic GI issues, you're dealing with symptoms of inflammation still, you have autoimmunity, you have eczema, other skin problems, and you're dealing with joint and muscle pain that hasn't gone away, it might be extra important to explore if gluten is playing a bigger role in your symptoms. So a GI test can actually assess if your microbiome is healthy and how your body's responding to gluten at the intestinal level. So if you still want to kind of dig a little deeper, especially if you have these issues present, you can actually see on a microbiome test if your body's producing inflammation from the gluten getting into contact with the intestines. This is not the celiac disease that you're hearing about. This is actually just the inflammation that it's causing in the gut, causing the intestinal permeability. I know that was a lot, but that's all of the crazy education that you're going to get for tonight. And we can discuss it more in depth right now if you have any questions. So, does anyone have any questions about anything that I mentioned? Okay, perfect. I think it also will make a little bit more sense once you try all these products. And if you have specific questions about how you responded, you can ask me in the Facebook group. If you need extra support, I do support clients, so I'm happy to help you. And then if you're just unsure and you do want to try it again, you can always leave it out until the end and do it again. So gluten, again, you can try couscous, rye, farro, spelt, whatever one you're craving. My personal favorite is farro. I think it's really great. It's a nice grain, and so it's good in bowls. But I did include different types of grains, just depending on what you have or whatever you want to end up trying. So spelt pancakes with berries. It sounds so good right now. But you can use spelt flour, which you can buy at the store, or you can blend the spelt grain. That's a life hack. If you ever run out of flour and you want to use a more like whole foods based flour that's not refined, you can take any grain you have, even chickpeas, and you can blend it, and it'll create a nice flour if you blend it for long enough. Um, Anytime you're buying oat flour, almond flour, any type of flour at the store that comes from a whole food, it's actually just blended. So you could actually save a few dollars if you do this at home. So 2 tablespoons, which is equivalent to an eighth cup. And then you can read the rest of the instructions, and then you can make these yummy little pancakes. That is for your first serving. For the fourth serving, which is an eighth cup, I have a recipe for rye berry roasted veggie bowl. So I did recommend soaking them overnight before cooking it to help with that digestion. So here's the instructions with this. And then half a serving. So I have a Mediterranean couscous salad. Um, and I would recommend cooking it in bone broth if you like bone broth, because it adds this really nice flavor to it. Anytime I'm making like a grain salad, that's kind of my life hack. It also adds extra protein. So that can be a really great way just to increase your protein intake. And then here is a risotto. Again, using the bone broth, and then I used coconut milk instead of the dairy. So here's another yummy recipe for that one serving, which is half a cup. And then moving on to shrimp. Wild shrimp is going to be more nutritious than not wild shrimp, so farm raised shrimp. So I would try to get wild. Um, this is a shrimp and sweet potato hash. I tried to think of a breakfast recipe for shrimp, but it was a little hard. If you're not craving shrimp in the morning, it is only an ounce. So if you want to just have that with your breakfast, you can definitely do that. But if you want to try this, I haven't tried it yet, but we're gonna get there. This just sounded good. It's kind of like a sweet potato hash that you'd have with eggs, but instead with shrimp. So we'll see how it goes. And then half a serving. It's shrimp and spinach sauteed with garlic and herbs. This kind of reminds me of like a tapas, like a Spanish tapas style. And then shrimp and coconut curry soup. Here's another good one. And then corn. So again, we want to get organic corn. I'm going to update the handout because I forgot to include organic in this. But corn kernels, eighth cup is going to be the fourth serving. So this is a corn and sweet potato breakfast hash. Again, trying to figure out a creative way to use corn in the morning. And then lettuce wraps for the afternoon for that half serving, a fourth cup. And I also added in some chicken breast in there too, just to make it a little bit more of a meal. And then cowboy caviar. Is this anything that anyone's tried? This always goes viral on social media. And it's so good to make, and it has a lot of really great ingredients, and it's really good with chips. So, my favorite is the Siete almond flour chips. There's also other crackers in there that you could use, like seed crackers. Like Mary's is a good brand. See a chat. Let's see. Oh, it's about gluten intolerance. So I'm going to pause here and then just address these. So what kind of digestive symptoms are common? Um, this is just specific to intolerance, like a lactose intolerance, gluten intolerance.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so it would be more like diarrhea, experiencing like abdominal pain, cramping. It would be more immediate symptoms that you'd notice. Or gas as well and bloating. So, I was with a friend over the weekend who's gluten intolerant. She had a bread made by outside the bread box that I could eat because it also had no eggs in it. It's a bakery in Colorado. I was able to go to their website and order. They have gluten-free breads. Oh, that's really helpful. I like it. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. Then dairy. So one fourth serving is going to be a fourth cup of milk. So I did a little creamy berry smoothie in here with grass-fed organic cow's milk and then unsweet pea protein powder. I wouldn't use a dairy containing protein powder because we want to systematically bring in that dairy. And then a fourth serving could, if you want to use cheese, that would be a half ounce cheese. I don't know why it did this, but I said enjoy. So charcuterie plate snack with half an ounce of cheese, no processed meats yet. So, and ideally I would try to reduce those overall anyways. So a fourth ounce of rotisserie chicken. I don't know what it says. If you could use however much you want. I was just trying to keep it really small for a snack here. And then a tablespoon of hummus, grainy mustard for dipping, and then some berries and some nuts just to be more well-rounded. Greek salad, if you want to use cheese, I like feta in Greek salad. I think it's pretty delicious. This could be a really tasty one for dinner. And then after the reintroduction, I'm going to reiterate this. I said this last week, but just want to make sure that you know that we should be looking for sustained symptom reduction after we reintroduce. So overall, long term, once we've identified the sensitivities, and if we do have intolerances, we're minimizing those foods. We're trying out different alternatives to see if we can tolerate it using the strategies I gave you. But we should be feeling better overall, and we should be healing the gut. So we should be making progress. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It does take time, but we should not be going backwards. Um, like our trajectory should not be going backwards. There's going to be days where we might not feel as great, but we want to look at our score overall. So if you want to keep doing the symptom questionnaire, or if you just want to subjectively assess, like, you know what, I am not feeling better. I'm kind of going backwards, and I'm still going backwards. That's going to be a red flag that either something wasn't addressed or there was a trigger that was reintroduced. So we really want to be careful so that we can make sure a trigger wasn't reintroduced. You want to try to be super careful throughout this process, and then just use the symptom questionnaire as much as you can just to make sure that you are catching things. So consider maybe working with us to dig deeper into the root causes if you are still having symptoms. Moving forward, if you have sensitivities, and I'm assuming the reason that a lot of you are here is because gut health is so important, and a lot of us deal with gut imbalances. So healing the gut is really important. Dr. Christina led an incredible, insightful presentation on this 5R approach, which is this approach for healing the gut in a comprehensive manner, removing triggers, rebalancing the gut flora, repairing the lining of the gut, healthy, reinforcive lifestyle practices, reintroducing foods with proper monitoring, and bringing in foods that are going to be supportive for the body. We want to try to go back to that and listen again if we are really focusing on healing that gut lining and emphasizing that healthy microbiome. So go back, listen to that. It was a very informative lecture. So just make sure that you are really getting the touch points from there and applying what is applicable to you. And if you do want support through that process, or there's things that you feel like haven't been addressed from a nutrition lifestyle perspective, you can work with me, and I'm happy to work in tandem with Dr. Christina to ensure that it is appropriate for you. I really do personalize my approach and ensure that everything that I'm recommending is going to be supportive, not only from a health and goal perspective, but also from a lifestyle perspective. So does it make sense for you? Does this seem realistic? Is this sustainable? Is this balanced? Always fostering a healthy relationship with food, and then holding your hand throughout that whole process so that we are ensuring that you're maintaining those healthy habits, because this is about a lifestyle change, right? So after you find that you have a food sensitivity, if you do, you will want to heal the gut. And after 3 to 6 months, you can retrial these foods, or the foods that you eliminated in the same process of reintroduction, to see if you can tolerate that food again. So make sure to save that packet so that you know how to do that if you do end up kind of working on your own. But I would really encourage you to work with me, work with Dr. Christina, to just ensure that you are healing your gut. So next steps, know your tolerance sizes. If you do end up finding that you have a sensitivity, it's important to eliminate that food because it's triggering inflammation, which is weakening that gut. And it's also contributing to all the symptoms. So if you want to indulge every once in a while, I would just plan ahead and be strategic and know how much you can tolerate based on your response to those different serving sizes throughout this reintroduction. So if you find that you're having this sensitivity reaction after half a cup of a certain food versus a fourth cup, versus 1 cup, then you know that you have to, sorry, I said that wrong. If you are reacting to a fourth serving, then you can try to have less than that when you are choosing to indulge. But I would really do this on occasion. So it doesn't mean you can't have this food during this 3 to 6 months period. It just means that you have to be very strategic about it and know the consequences. So Know how much you can tolerate, bring it in an amount that you can tolerate, but still aiming for a very small amount to not trigger any digestive or systemic symptoms. We want to be comfortable. We also don't want to cause a lot of inflammation. So overall, we want to keep maintaining a balanced diet and lifestyle to support gut health and overall health. So focus on those nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory foods to maintain balance. And then pay attention to your symptoms over time. Healing does take time again. We want to move in the right direction. Doesn't mean we don't have hiccups, but we want to be improving. And then I did include my email if you wanted to reach out to set up a discovery call. I offer a free discovery call just to see if I am a good match for what you're looking for. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on that call about my programs, how it feels like to work with me, and if what you're dealing with is a good fit for what I help people do. So if you want to write that down, take a photo, or even just ask me in the Facebook group, I'm happy to set up a time that works for your schedule. Um, and then that is all the slides that I have for today. I just want to make sure that everyone did see that handout that I included with the recipes. You can download that directly from that website. I'm also going to include it in the Facebook group, and then I will try to send that to Dr. Christina so that she can send that to you if she sees it. But I also don't want her to feel pressured because she is on vacation. So I'll let her know that I gave this to you. So if you're able to download it, that would be great. But once she gets back, we'll make sure you get that. But I don't want you to get started without this. So I see you don't see the handout. I'll resend this to you. Let me know if you can see this. Are you not seeing it when you click on it, or oh, you see it? Okay, perfect. I read your mouth. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So then it's the same thing that you saw last week, but at the end, it's going to have these recipes in there as well. Does anyone have any questions for this final week? Yes, Katie?
Well, I think I missed maybe what you were saying about the sheet because I got onto the site a little bit late to tonight. But my question was, so I was away, but I was going along introducing edamame pretty easily. But I made a mistake, and I had somebody shared a this toast with peanut butter on it. I took it and I completely forgot. But that night I also had like a red lentil soup, and I had a reaction the next morning. So I don't know if it was the peanut butter or the red lentil. I kind of suspect it was the lentils because
Okay.
I have more problems with different kinds of beans on the FODMAP kind of scale than I probably would with the peanut butter, but I don't know. So I'm
Okay.
gonna save the peanuts to the end to figure it out and just go on to the egg whites, which I was getting, traveling and everything. I wasn't able to do three. But what do you
Right.
think about that when you?
Yeah, so I would definitely retrial the so are you unsure about the edamame? So was that the first day of trialing the
Yeah,
edamame?
it was like the second day of the edamame. I don't think there was any conclusion about there being any difficulty there, but I wasn't sure about it was the end of the day when I was introducing the second day of the edamame, so there was an overlap.
Okay.
Um, but
I would
I
retrial both foods just to be 100% certain. So I think it's a great idea to leave it out until the end and retrial both of those foods individually just to assess your tolerance to both.
okay,
But
thank
it's
you.
okay. It's not going to ruin your progress, introducing both of those together. Are you feeling better right now to move on to the next food?
Yes, yeah, I just haven't. I didn't use either one of them for the last 2 days or so, so it just kind of went back to point zero.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, of course. Oh, Polly,
Yeah.
you're muted.
It, uh, are you calling on me, Sue? Or was there
Oh,
someone else
oh,
talking?
Polly was also talking.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Polly.
Oh, Polly, you're still muted. Are you not able to unmute? Oh, let's see. Sure. Maury, do you know if or why Polly might be having troubles unmuting herself? Did you?
Okay, there,
Oh,
there.
perfect.
Okay, I just before the call had a gastro event,
Oh
and
no.
I don't know if it must be the egg yolk. That's what I was on today introducing.
Okay. It's likely the egg yolk if you had that event today. If you feel uncertain just based off of what you were eating or anything going on right now, I would leave it out until the end and just retrial it. It's always good to have 100% certainty.
Okay.
But it sounds like it might have been the egg yolk. And if I remember correctly, you were asking in the Facebook group about the egg yolk in Thai food. Is this the same?
It wasn't it in Thai, it was the pad Thai. There
Okay,
was she said the soy, the
yes,
wheat and the soy, but I thought edamame was the soy introduction.
it
I
is.
didn't have a problem with that.
Soy sauce also has gluten in it.
Ah,
So it's
but
probably
okay.
the gluten. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. Again, like I told Katie, it's not going to ruin your progress.
Yeah.
Wait until your symptoms have cleared up before moving on.
Okay, so this I need to give at least a day off because
Yeah,
this,
give it some time, rest up, heal. No rush through it. I'm sorry you're not feeling good, but you want to make sure that you're feeling 100%
yeah,
to your baseline at least before starting again.
okay. And then pick up where I was. Go skip the eggs and go to the next, which is the corn.
Because you introduced multiple foods at once, I would also retrial the egg yolk at the end just to be 100% certain.
Yeah, but where do I pick up then when I do pick up in a day or so?
I would move on to the next food. So, on here we had the egg yolks and then the dairy. So I would move on to the dairy
Okay,
and pick up with the yolk at the end.
okay.
And then still do the full 2 days, even if you did one day and then it was the second day, right?
Oh, right. No, I'll do the whole thing.
Do the whole thing, right?
Yeah, okay.
And then Sue, you had a question?
Yes, I guess the problem that I typically have had is that I have a lot of gas, and it's typically with beans, um, all kinds of beans and peas, so chickpeas. This is before this elimination diet. So what I'm having trouble with is now, so reintroducing edamame, it's a pea. I had gas, and I don't know whether it's just so I don't understand if it's an inflammatory response or is it the same response I have with broccoli. I mean, with broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cabbage. It's just, kind of a lot of gas. So is that considered a reaction? Or since we're not testing for those things, that happens too. And if I'm having that in my meals, because I've always just continued to eat it, but it is kind of annoying to have gas. So I don't know whether the gas is something to be marked as a reaction. I don't have diarrhea or anything like that, but a
And
lot
I'm
of gas.
assuming it's within that 3 hour window after eating that food.
Yeah, it could be, and it could go on for after that too. I mean, I just have a kind of a problem with that. And so I was
That's super common. So that's the FODMAP reaction that we see with like IBS symptoms. So all the foods you just described, the cabbage, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the beans, like, that's a FODMAP.
okay.
It doesn't mean you have to avoid it. That's not an inflammatory reaction. So
Okay.
which is what that is. That's the digestive reaction, not causing inflammation. However, we want to make sure that you're comfortable. So, one way to trial if you can tolerate um, certain foods, including the soy, is soaking and then
Uh-huh.
or just cooking it. Pressure cooking will make it better. But if you
Mhm.
don't have access to that or you don't want to do that, just ensuring that you're always heating up any legume, so any bean or grain before consuming it is going to break down basically that cellular wall that's hard to digest. So
Okay.
for most people, even if you don't deal with FODMAPs, grains and beans can be hard to digest
Mhm,
because of that cellular wall.
mhm.
That's the first reason. So we want to soak it, let it soak overnight ideally. We can even add like some lemon juice or some apple cider vinegar that's listed, I think, in week 3.
Or baking soda, does that help?
Yeah, just anything
Yeah.
acidic, break that down will help. I
Mhm.
use lemon juice and apple cider vinegar because I don't notice the taste affecting it.
Uh-huh.
Washing it and then cooking it up. And then see if that helps. It could also
Okay.
be in size. So there's an app called Monash FODMAP. And sorry, I need to plug my computer in. My computer dies fast when I'm on Zoom. Um,
Monash FODMAP.
yeah, if you look up the specific food that you're worried about, you
Mhm.
can see how much of that food can be tolerated having a reaction to the FODMAP. So there's different serving sizes, and if you eat below that serving size, you'll be less likely to have a reaction to it.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Because I mean, I love all those things. I still, want to eat the Brussels sprouts and all that kind of stuff.
And they're
No
important to the gut, but we want to minimize the gassiness that we're experiencing.
Right, right. So that soaking like lentils and all of the beans, soaking them prior, and then maybe this apple cider vinegar. But that's good to know that that in it of itself is not an inflammatory reaction. It's just,
It's not. It's just you're like basically struggling to break it down. But again, the foods are so nutritious for the gut. And if we're not digesting it, we're not accessing all their wonderful nutrients and properties. So it's best to try to assist your gut in digesting it. If you find that you're still reacting, follow the FODMAP serving sizes as best as you can to try to reduce the bloating. And then if you're still struggling with it, just keep healing the gut and just keep kind of working through it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Well, everyone's doing such a great job. We made it so far. We're almost there. And I hope that everybody's experiencing a lot of benefits already and seeing a lot of improvements. So just really proud of everybody here. And yeah, just keep going. We're almost there. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.